KAG News. Fact news you can trust.
Will the culture war ever stop? Unfortunately, I think the answer is no, but it's certainly getting dumber and dumber as time goes by. This was trending on Twitter. Pepé Le Pew. Readers are discussing a New York Times opinion piece that argues that classic cartoon characters such as Pepé Le Pew and Speedy Gonzales popularized negative stereotypes and, quote, normalized rape culture. So, the first one, going back, 2 weeks now, maybe? Was Mr. Potato Head. They renamed Mr. Potato Head to just Potato Head to be more gender inclusive. Then it became... the Dr. Seuss thing blew up, where it was the only thing they talked about on conservative media. There's about 40 Dr. Seuss books, and 6 of them were pulled by Dr. Seuss Enterprises because they said, hey, listen, some of this stuff didn't age well. For example, Dr. Seuss talking about Asians with slanted eyes from places nobody can pronounce and portraying black people as like gorillas or monkeys. So they pulled it, and then conservative media sort of went crazy over that. Now, by the way, one of the things I kept pointing out was that it's interesting. They never gave the specifics on conservative media. They would just say, Dr. Seuss is being canceled. Unbelievable. But they never gave specifics. Because I think when people give specifics, like portraying black people as apes, everybody's like, oh, I kind of see why they did that. And also, to be clear, this had nothing to do with Democratic politicians. This had nothing to do with some sort of movement to get them to stop selling these books. This all was from Dr. Seuss Enterprises, the company. They made the decision. And they said, we don't think this represents Dr. Seuss's legacy, so we're going to get rid of 6 of them. And 6 of the, over 40. I mean, okay, so anyway, I digress. That was the culture war stuff that we were just talking about. So now the new one is Pepé Le Pew and Speedy Gonzales. I don't know what else to say about this other than it is a giant distraction. In fact, Shoe on Head, June, was tweeting. She's probably kidding or half kidding or whatever, but she was saying, not today, CIA, as if, the CIA is trying to cultivate the culture war bullshit to get everybody distracted with that, while the status quo and business as usual keeps screwing them. And I mean, listen, again, she's kidding, but at the same time, it's that really is the end result, is that people start fighting about the culture war stuff viciously, ferociously, and endlessly, ad infinitum, ad nauseum, and then they do not talk about, nearly as much the other stuff, like the fact that you're not getting a $2,000 check, like the fact that minimum wage failed. It failed because 8 Democrats defected from the party. And so it's weird. There does seem to be a little bit of a pattern here that any time there's some big ticket letdown, either economically or foreign policy wise, there's always some culture war bullshit that sort of overtakes it in the media. Isn't it interesting? At the same time, not a single Republican supported a $15 minimum wage. The media was only talking about Dr. Seuss. Conservative media only talked about Dr. Seuss. Now, mind you, that's a policy that in some polls about half of Republicans support, and 67% of the entire country supports a $15 minimum wage. At the same time, that 0 Republicans in Washington, D.C. supported a $15 minimum wage. That was missing from the conversation, and they were only focusing on, the woke left has gone crazy, and they're trying to cancel Dr. Seuss. At the same time that Biden was bombing Syria and killing 22 people, at the same time he's escalating with Iran, we're talking about Pepé Le Pew and Dr. Seuss. I mean, it does seem to be, whether it's intentional or not, I don't know, and frankly, I don't even care. But it does seem to be the case that this culture war bullshit overtakes the important issues that we should be discussing. You know, and the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of agreement and there's a lot of unity on an issue like the $15 minimum wage, on the issue of ending wars, on the issue of the $2,000 checks. There's a lot of unity on that stuff, but we can't actually unify and come together when the country split down culture war lines and we're going to yell at each other about Pepe Le Pew for hours on end every day, or yell at each other over Dr. Seuss for hours on end every day. So listen, I don't know how else to say this, but everybody's got to sort of remove yourself from the culture war bullshit. That doesn't mean you're not allowed to have an opinion on it. Of course you can have an opinion on it. I have an opinion on it. Everybody has an opinion on it. But the fact of the matter is, this has nothing to do with the government. This has nothing to do with public policy. And if you're talking about the non-public policy stuff, as public policy is actively screwing you and doing it right now, you lost the plot. You lost the plot. And you're missing where you would have the most positive impact if you put your attention there. So, listen. I mean, I hate to let everybody down in the sense that I'm not really giving a take on Pepe Le Pew or Speedy Gonzalez here. But let's focus on the economy. Let's focus on class. Let's focus on income and wealth inequality. Let's focus on climate change. Let's focus on foreign policy. Let's focus on all the serious stuff and leave the children's cartoons and children's books to children.